This week on The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Read the room.
Why?
Read the room.
Why is she not here?
Read the room. Read the motherfucking room.
I'm reading the room.
You're not.
Whoa.
I am reading the
a little
room.
slow.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the new episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 6. Let's get right into it. Okay, there's a lot to talk about. This was a supersized episode. So last week was the crazy event that led to Kenya being let go of the show because she decided to show explicit, inappropriate pictures of her castmate Britt, Eady, in front of everybody. So we begin this episode with the women giving their reactions on what happened, like what was going through their minds. Shamea says that she felt her heart, her stomach. She'd never witnessed anything so low, actually witnessed it herself. Porsha said it was disgusting, it triggered her, and it hurt her. Kelli says that she can't imagine what that was and how they can never get over this. And then Cynthia says, I've seen a lot on this show, and this is probably the lowest, and I hold Kenya to a different standard. This was just awful. So the screen says 48 hours later, and we head over to Britt's house. So Britt is not feeling well. She says that she didn't sleep the whole night. All of Kenya's minions and quacky fans were DMing her and all this stuff. Other people had also been reaching out and sending her messages. So she's telling her husband what happened. She says, I spent $250 on flowers for her for me to then walk out, and she brings out billboards of me naked. She tried to publicly humiliate me in front of 200 people. The husband says at her salon, and she has a daughter, and she says this salon is for her. Britt claims that she fears losing her clients over this. But what I personally admired about Britt was that she admitted what she did in her confessional. She says, yeah, I was a teenager, and when I was a teenager, I let a boyfriend of mine film me giving him oral sex, and then later in my 20s, I was in webcam. She's owning it. She's owning up to what she did. It's not like she's trying to hide it, but to use that to humiliate somebody over this, for Kenya to dig this up, it's just unbelievable. Britt says, everything I've built is now overshadowed over this situation.
Through with this situation, nobody should have to deal with being publicly shamed in front of the world.
So she's in tears and says that no woman should ever go through this, to be publicly shamed in front of the world. And listen, I feel bad, and I said this last week, I don't care what a woman has done in her past. Hell, I don't care if she was a prostitute. For somebody, especially another woman, to find this and print it out on a freaking poster board and try to show it to everybody, a room full of strangers, that's disgusting, man. I mean, I really don't know how much lower you can go. And the fact that Kenya's fans can admit that she was wrong, it lets me know everything I need to know about what type of people they are. I mean, it's one thing if you were to say, I still like Kenya, I just don't like Britt, whatever. But to not be able to say, yeah, that was wrong, you gotta check your moral compass, because what is going on? This is the problem in the society that we live in today. People have selective morals. They choose when to determine whether something is right or wrong based on the person, if it's a person they like or they don't. So that's unfortunate. So then Kelli comes over. She brought some food. She also brought with her a nurse to give Britt an IV. Kelli says that she's disappointed with Kenya. That's not who she met at first. Even when they had that great conversation at Kenya's salon, that's a totally different person. And she says, why would she dedicate her salon opening, which in reality, it's really her reopening, but nevertheless, it was still an event, of her salon. Kelli says, I, try to stop her from getting rid of the flowers, but she said to me in front of everybody, stay out of this. One of the things that Britt says that I do think is interesting is Kenya set this up in a way where she wanted Britt to see this along with everybody else. Britt thinks that maybe what Kenya wanted was a reaction from her, like maybe for her to attack her, but that did leave me thinking, like, had Britt stayed there, what would have happened? Like, that would have been bad. Alright, so next up is Shamea, and she had a plethora of food. A chef was cooking some delicious food because she's having the girls over. Porsha, Kelli, and Angela come over, and they talk about what happened at Kenya's event, and Kelli says, like, we can't go that low. Porsha says, of all the things that Kenya has done, I've never seen Kenya go to that extreme. It was Kenya's choice to troll on down to hell. Kelli says, I don't think she came out. I think she's still trolling. Kelli says that she wishes Kenya well and success, but she can't help but to think about, like, the fact that this was very much premeditated. This wasn't like an in the moment reaction or a mistake that you regret. Like, no. She literally premeditated this. She planned it out. And she's right, which I think makes it worse for sure. Shamea's mom is there, and she kind of gives them some words of advice on sticking together and all that. So Angela takes that opportunity to sort of slide into that and says, speaking of which, Porsha, I wanted to ask you, what was all that you were telling me that you knew about Charles? Porsha says, oh, well, you know what? I was playing. I was joking. I realized that maybe it wasn't the best joke because we don't know each other like that. Huh? What? In her confessional, they ask Porsha, where did you get this information from? And Porsha says, one of my cousins. One of your cousins? What? Anyway, so they get to eating, they head outside, and then Drew joins them. They ask Drew what's going on. Drew says that she's getting ready to go to court. Angela then says, yeah, that's tough. Divorces are tough. Speaking of divorces, Porsha, do you feel like you're getting the support that you need to get through this? Porsha says, it's sad, the family that they had. So they ask, actually, if, Simon were to say, let's get back together, like, let's forget this, would you? Porsha says no, because, first of all, he disrespected her mom, and he said something about Porsha's mom was in on the housebreaking thing, and he said some things about the mom's boyfriend. And then second, she feels like Simon kind of has disregarded her child. Pilar has been asking for him. She's had to lie and say that, oh, he's working. But Porsha gets emotional in this scene. She says that she actually reached out to him one day. She texted him and said, hey, Pilar has been asking for you. And because he has his read receipts on the iPhone, it shows that he read it, but he just never replied back. Porsha says, I am now in a place where I'm not in love with him anymore. Like, the person I thought he was is not there. Shamea, comforts her, and so did Kelli. So I thought that was a nice moment for them to kind of rally around her. Kelli then says that she has the idea to have like a brunch for the ladies, but she does ask if Porsha and Drew are okay, and Porsha pretty much says, we can be okay. The next scene is Kelli and her daughter Chloe. They're doing yoga together, and when they're done, Kelli checks on her phone and she sees that an article about her and just dropped. It's about her and her ex's situation. It was all about their legal problems and all that contention. It was a lot. It's said something about custody, to which her daughter Chloe says, well, he surely doesn't want to get custody of me. I don't even think he cares about me, because she is not Kelly's ex-husband's daughter. Kelli already had her before she got with him. And then Kelli talks about, being a family, and Chloe says that she might not even want to get married, because what if she ends up like her mom? And that's really sad to hear, because, I just feel bad for them. It's clearly such a bad situation. I mean, Kelli herself has said it. It was violence involved, police, crying, just so bad. And the fact that these poor little girls probably saw all of it really, really is upsetting to me. Alright, so then heading over to Drew's house. So apparently she says that every first, third, and fifth weekend, she has to pack up and leave the house so that Ralph can come out of the basement and go upstairs. to spend time with the kids. I know it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. Like, he's really living in the basement. Oh, I've never heard of a situation like this. So we're seeing her pack up. She does her daughter's hair, and then they're eating, and that's when Ralph goes into the kitchen. And before Drew leaves, she is telling Ralph that he needs to call the exterminator. And Ralph then gets a little agitated, and he says, no, you needed to call the exterminator. Why didn't you do it? And Drew says, no, I think you should do it because I have a lot of things on my plate. To which Ralph is like, what? What do you have on your plate? And Drew then says, goodbye, and she leaves. Now, in his confessional, because remember, they gave Ralph a whole confessional, he says that he pays all the bills and that Drew doesn't. Drew then says that co-parenting with him is impossible, and then she gets in the car with her sister and they get out. Listen, something about this couple that I just don't get. Something in the buttermilk ain't clean is weird. It's very weird. Okay, moving on. Shamea goes to the recording studio. Her dreams really are music, and even the way she talks about it, I can see how much love and passion she has towards this. Like, it's really something that she wants to pursue. So she's currently working with a producer who RL. She's super excited. Angela came over, and they're talking, and Angela actually apologizes to Shamea, not for something that she did, but she's sorry that when they were at Angela's dinner and Shamea was showing them all her new song, Porsha was being very shady. And listen, I love Porsha, but I think that she was totally being whack. If I'm showing something that I am so passionate about to everybody, something that I truly love, and the only one in the table who's not being supportive is my best friend, yeah, that ain't cool at all. In her confessional, they asked Shamea to sing a little bit of the song, and they didn't have to ask her twice. She sang the whole thing. You never had someone like me. Go on, Shamea. Okay, she sings good. I'm telling y'all, that's a good song. So Drew comes over too, and Shamea is telling them again how much she really loves her music. She was even in a group with Carrie Hilson. So again, it hurt Shamea's feelings for Porsha to say that. But because Portia's going through a lot, she doesn't really want to bring it up. Drew is then talking about her music and her working with Dennis, and she says, oh, these royalties are going to be so good and whatnot. PJ's college will be paid for. See, this is what I don't really like, Drew. Like, why would you say that? And then Shamea's like, no, her college is definitely paid for, which, by the way, just goes to show you that Shamea is definitely a much better friend to Porsha than Porsha is to Shamea. But then Drew is like, well, PJ will have some extra snacks because of me. Girl. So then we see Brit again. Her mom comes over. She had to tell her mom about what happened. That's humiliating. I can't even imagine having to tell your mom what happened. But her mom has been very supportive. What's been good, too, is that even though Brit has been having some issues with her sister, even this Kenya thing, after this Kenya thing, they've come through for her. So that's nice to see that at the end of the day, she can see that if things go south, they're going to be there to have her back at the end of the day. But Brit apologizes to her mom for all of this situation. And she says, I'm tired of all of this. I've been dealing with hate my whole life. And the mom says, I know. But you know what? Girls who aren't happy with their lives, that's what they do. Brit says, yeah, but even back in the day, like, I used to tell you how much it hurt me when people would say things to me. She really was trying to humiliate you. The mom came through and she says she was Miss USA. She was supposed to be someone who lifts women up. I was like, well, she's right. So yeah, that was that scene. Shamea and Porsha then meet up. Porsha came in saying that she's been feeling the 40s coming. Like, her hips are hurting. She's starting to feel the 40s. Shamea says, well, at least we don't have Angela's problems being hot everywhere. Shamea mentions Father's Day is coming up, so she's wondering what to get her husband. And speaking of fathers, she asks Porsha if she's talked to Dennis about the filming with Drew. So Porsha says, I talked to him about it, and he said he would film, but only for promo. Drew wanted to film after that, but he didn't end up doing it. Well, I guess Porsha didn't get the memo, because Drew did film with Dennis, a whole scene. Porsha says that Dennis wanted her to say that she didn't want him to film with Drew rather than for her to say that she didn't like it. But Porsha was like, no, I want him to make a choice for his family. And she also doesn't want extra variables in their relationship. Like, she wants her and Dennis' relationship to be 100% co-parenting. That's it. And I get it. Like, with all the problems she has, that's definitely not something that she needs to add to it. Then they play some sort of like fun indoor golf game. And Shamea is telling her about her and her husband are trying to expand their family. Porsha also has an embryo with Simon, but with everything that they're going through, that's the last thing Porsha's thinking of. Shamea then is joking about how much Simon's been on social media, sending cease and desists. I mean, it's too much. And Porsha says he wants to be a damn influencer. Whew. Alright, so then it is the day of Kelli's garden brunch. Porsha calls in to let Kelli know that she won't be able to make it because she's sick. Kelly's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. You know, take some medicine, take everything. Just don't take somebody else's man. That was smooth. Then when the ladies were coming, Kelly's telling them where to sit. And she's like, okay, you're going to be sitting right here next to Kenya. And they're like, wait, what? She was kidding. But on a serious note, Kelli tells them about the blog articles about her that have been coming out and how her husband owes her $10,000 on child support, but he hasn't paid it. A lot going through. So the ones who came were Shamea, Angela, Drew, and Britt. So they're checking in on Britt. Britt says that, she's feeling better. She's still struggling. So then Kelli says, this brunch really is for you, Britt. Like, it's to check up on you. It's to support you. I know that the other ladies have checked up on Kenya and her feelings. To which then Britt's like, oh, y'all have checked up on Kenya and her feelings? And they're like, yeah. So Britt is kind of mad about this. She's like, did y'all not see what she did to me? Like, I've had to deal with this with my mom, with my husband, my insurance. Shamea's like, yeah, she did tell me that she lost her insurance. So that's where Angela starts to get activated and says, based on what? So Britt turns to her and says, based on what? Are you confused on what's been going on? Angela says, wait a minute, where's this energy coming from? I'm licensed as well. In order to lose your license, it needs to be based on a case. So on a cause. So what is the cause? So they start to go back and forth. And Angela says, you're not even taking accountability of how we even got here in the first place. Then Britt says, read the room. Read the mother effing room. Angela says, I am reading the room. Britt's like, are you slow? Angela says, you like to throw rocks and hide your hands. So Kelli tells Angela, like, switch seats because we don't need nothing happening. Shamea's like, okay, now that we're all calmed down a little bit, I'll ask you, Britt, how did you lose your license? Britt says, because of this backlash and defamation, I'm under investigation for my license. You don't lose it immediately. It doesn't work that way. Angela whispers underneath her breath, thought so. Britt says, what was that, Angela? Why don't you just be quiet? And Angela says that, she's a licensed mortgage loan originator, and she knows that to lose your license you're gonna need more than just a rumor. Britt says, well, you can troll out of here too if you want. So then Drew chimes in and she's like, she just said twirl out. Oh my god, Kenya is definitely here. That is some nasty work. So her and Britt kind of are going back and forth themselves. Britt's like, Kenya is not here because of the nasty work that she's done, and it seems like nobody wants to acknowledge that. Drew then says to her, I do want to tell you that I don't agree with what she did, but both of you have made mistakes. Britt says, I already admitted to my wrongdoings, but the damage has been done, and I don't want to be around her. Shamea wraps this up with some beautiful words about focusing on the good on people and moving forward. Everyone says that they're going to do it. And then Shamea gets them all up on their feet and they do a little two-step, a nice little dance. I thought that was a cute little ending. Wow, that was a lot of moving parts this episode, you guys. A lot of scenes, but we got through it. Listen, my opinion hasn't changed from last week. I think that it makes sense why Kenya was let go. The fact that she showed this, and I also think that something that added to it was, I don't think Kenya took any accountability at all. I think she doubled down, and she's been doubling down on the internet. Like I said, unfortunately, people are eating it up. But like I said, if people aren't able to understand the magnitude of what Kenya did, there's something going on. Like, that is not okay at all. And one of the things that we need to understand as individuals is that we need to be able to have, different thoughts at the same time. We can have the thought that Britt was wrong for that pistol comment. We can have the thought that Britt might be a loser. Maybe she doesn't even have the insurance. Maybe she's like all of that. But we can also hold the thought that what Kenya did was unacceptable. We can hold different thoughts at the same time. And right now, what we're talking about is Kenya being wrong for what she did, and that's why she's had the job. So it is what it is. But you guys, let me know what your opinions on this episode were. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one.